friends. Chris Marcus here with you on Saturday, December 2nd, on behalf of Arcadia Economics. And today's weekly review, as always, some fascinating stories going on in the markets. Bitcoin, big story again. Perhaps some signs of movement in gold and silver. And with that said, let's dig into the stories. The first of which, again, nothing shocking here. Donald Trump and Democratic leaders clash over budget. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi skip meeting after president's tweet suggesting a year-end deal faces headwinds. Where to begin on this one? I mean, aside from the fact that, it just sounds kind of funny that talking about the largest debtor nation in history, there's never been an entity this massively in debt, and yet these guys are blowing off meetings based on the latest commentary out of Donald Trump's Twitter feed. Hey, again, what's the ultimate outcome of this? My guess is that some sort of deal will be reached. Government, one thing they don't like doing is taking away their ability to spend. So probably will be some sort of deal. Was interesting to note somewhere in this article, I forget exactly where, but they mentioned, we're not even talking about cuts yet. They can't even agree on, again, I don't see where the exact quote is, although if you check the article, you'll find it. They're talking about how much to increase spending to keep the thing running. So, God only knows what would have to happen to actually ever reduce spending, which would be ideal. Although, as I thought about it a bit more, I'm starting to wonder, if we're really this late in the game, the ship has, I think Bitcoin is telling you the dollar is sinking. People are leaving the system. They're taking their money out. Finally, there's a better alternative. And yet here they are. It's like there's not even the effort to pretend anymore that, all right, one day we're going to do something or we actually have a plan. It's just stunning how it seems like these guys are just going to pretend not to notice until the next crash finally comes, which my money's on 2018. I probably said the same thing for the last couple of years, although how much longer this can go on, man, it would be, if we're living like this 5 years from now, I'll be officially stunned. Either case, if you want to get to some more of the solutions, not much visual screenshots here, but if you go Google Jim Sinclair's Mindset Public Discussion, great. It's 2 hours, 15 minutes, although a little trick of the day for you. It's changed my life. You can actually watch YouTube on double speed, chop that baby in half. You can actually still hear it pretty well. And why it's of value to listen to, this was basically interview/debate between some of the precious metals guys and some of the Bitcoin supporters, all of whom I think are top people in their field. There was Jim Sinclair, Bill Holter, Cliff High was on there, which was great, Bix Weir, a guy named Dave that we never actually heard who he was, but what was great about this is that certainly big question going around is Bitcoin a bubble, which we'll get to in a moment. And if there's anyone that's been more critical of Bitcoin, I find is often the gold and silver guys, of which I consider myself in that camp, although fortunately I feel like I've kept an open mind. What I've found is I've considered and learned about the cryptos to be incredible. So really this interview gets at a lot of the questions like, all right, well, is someone going to take the grid down? Can this thing be hacked? Is your money safe in there? Is this really going to take over a lot of the old failed infrastructure that allows the bankers, the tank makers, the medical companies, the Medicare fraud that can wipe that out? A lot of those questions are answered, and certainly I've given my opinions and my views on these things, although to the degree that I'm an investment analyst, not a coder, I think it's a great interview for people to listen to because you get to hear Cliff High, who is a coder, does understand the software as well as the investment side of it. Certainly highly recommended to watch, even if you don't get through the whole thing, but some good stuff in there, which will help you understand, of course, this wild Bitcoin market. Sorry, I didn't pull up the greatest chart here. But at least you can see this is basically the last 2 weeks. Last weekend, Bitcoin crossed over 11,000, went down as low as about 9,000. Now it's back up close to 11,000 again. And I thought it was interesting. I had someone call me and say, "Did you see that Bitcoin crashed?" Which she was referring to the drop from 11,000 to 9,000, which certainly is a big move down. Although given that it had only first gotten to 9,000 a couple days earlier, just thought was interesting that it seems like it's really hit the public now. And especially this is the first time, like there hasn't been speculation before, but there was something about what happened last weekend where felt almost a bit of mania, where now I'm going around talking to people and just more and more. It's no longer that people haven't heard of Bitcoin or people investing in Bitcoin. A lot of speculation. So by all means, if you're sitting there wondering, all right, well, is this thing moving a lot because people are speculating? Absolutely. There's a ton of people speculating. And that can be for a variety of reasons, but at least for myself, and again, why I think that interview we just talked about would be really helpful, is that to me, the speculation is on you have a failed infrastructure, dollar-based system. And if you have all of that wealth that's in the dollar-based system is finally starting to leave, that's what some people or myself are speculating about, that in that scenario, yes, the crypto rally, I would think, would just be getting started. Now, the caveat to that, and again, this is just my feel, so factor that in as you will. But when I saw everything that happened last weekend, again, if you look at the currency, the cryptos as a large extent of an exit from the dollar, in addition to the value that they provide. I mean, certainly at some point, when does it become too much? When is the thing overvalued? There's got to be some, well, maybe it's not the easiest thing to calculate. There is some fair market value. And perhaps my takeaway was that when I look at the moves from last week and see how quickly things are rising, I feel almost as if my takeaway from the market is that it's signaling a lot of the things, gold bugs or people who have just been concerned about the monetary system eventually one day being unsustainable. The rate at which Bitcoin is going up indicates either it's going up too quick or that these events that have been forecast for so long are starting to happen. Now, certainly we've seen signs of that. There's Zimbabwe, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, even the US. I mean, there's massive political dysfunction. They're bragging about taking their warplanes out again as well. So, to me, again, to see the prices go up as quickly as they are now, in a way is interesting because it feels like some things coming to a head where either if I'm nuts and the dollar is a great system that works out well for everyone, then probably, you really want to think hard about getting involved in cryptos here. Yet, based on what's happening, things that I've been looking for, the reasons that I've invested in cryptos, I think what you're seeing here is a hyperinflation of the dollar has begun, And then that's another way of looking at it. This pricing, the price action is representative of what I think you would expect in a real hyperinflationary environment. So either A, that is the environment we're in and you'll see the numbers continue to go up, or B, if we have not reached that point yet, then certainly changes any investment decisions about getting involved now. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, I wish I could give you the specific answer. I can tell you that I'm leaning more towards its signaling. We're really seeing a decline. Just wonder how much longer can it go. Of course, don't want to leave out gold and silver altogether. Understand the cryptos have been exciting lately. But a couple quick notes here. Jim Rickards says big gains could be coming to gold on December 13th. And basically, if you stroll through here, the markets are basically pricing in that the Fed is going to raise rates again on the 13th. And Jim Rickards mentioned something that I've been wondering about myself for a while, where is it really a guarantee that the Fed is going to do that? There's been a lot of commentary from Fed officials saying, well, we think lower rates might be good, or we might need to revert to policy. And of course, as Jim mentions here, they have this silly deflation metric called the PCE, which doesn't really, in my opinion, come anywhere remotely close to measuring inflation. Yet to the degree that the Fed looks at it, their target is 2%. Last reading was 1.3%, down from 1.9. So in bizarro Fed logic, that means that there's not enough inflation. Yes, that's as silly as it sounds. But in either case, again, whether they raise interest rates a quarter of a point in a couple weeks or not, doesn't really make a big difference in the end, but would be a bit of a surprise, although more possible than I think some people are giving it credit for, that Fed doesn't raise interest rates in 2 weeks. So we'll keep an eye on that one, although I agree with Jim what he's getting at there, that it's certainly priced in a little more confidently than it should be. And the other note he has here is the failure to deliver physical gold is coming. Lists a couple potential causes: credit crisis in China, failure to deliver gold, which is the one that I've always thought that, based on everything you hear and the numbers you look at, that it sure seems like to keep the paper shorting going, it uses up a lot of gold because people do take delivery at the lower prices. And so here's a good quote. My source told me we're building vault space as fast as we can, but running out of capacity. Where's the gold coming from? UBS, Deutsche Bank, and Credit Suisse, and customers are taking out their banks and giving it to us. So how does it end? Someday, probably sooner than later, somebody's going to show up and say, I want my gold, please, and the custodian won't be able to give it to him. And that sets off a panic in gold. And I know I've been saying this for about 8 years now. I think we saw it back in 2011 when gold hit 1900, silver hit 50. I believe that exactly what he describes here, there was the beginning of a shortage. Again, what happened? Banks wrote a ton of paper contracts, clobbered the price, but that doesn't change the underlying fundamentals. And anyway, Jim is seeing the failure to deliver physical gold coming. I certainly see it coming. I don't know when, although I'd be watching out these next couple months. Certainly, as you can see at the top there, silver at 16.5, gold at 12.82, I think are both fractions of what they'll be trading for once you have something like this failure to deliver, resolution to the market. So again, be careful with any paper, gold, or silver. It's nice to have the thing that you can hold it or store it somewhere, but making sure that you actually own a piece of metal as opposed to a paper claim. because as I continue to hear, it's somewhere in the hundreds for every ounce of gold or silver. How many people have a paper claim on it? So if you're the guy who actually has the metal, it's going to work out a lot better for you than other people. So with that said, hit the subscribe button. We will see you again soon. Thanks as always for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye.